at home waiting on me and watching and looking for this good money. I said I was going to start over fresh because I was going to give you guys something. I wanted to give you guys something visual, and I wanted to kind of pick it apart and hopefully make it a little bit more understandable. Unfortunately, when I was on my way here, I started thinking, it's like, you know what, you should have done this first, and then you should have done this first. But whatever it is, we're going to go with what we got today. And what I'm going to talk about is investing for dividends. That is my favorite thing. Maybe it's because I'm older and I don't like taking as much risk, but it is my thing because I want to make money, and I want my money to make money. So that's what we're talking about. There's my little thing up there. So like I said, we're talking about investing for dividends, and what does that look like? And just so you guys know, I am not a tax professional. I am not a financial anything. I just know what I do for me, and it works for me. I don't have a financial advisor. I don't have an investment guru whispering in my ear, so I'm not whispering in yours. I'm just telling you what I know. All right, so we're going to talk about dividends. Dividends are only paid on stocks, and they are a piece of the company pie. It's like when you buy the stock, you already get a piece, but when you do that, like I said, you're just buying that piece. But what happens is that when you hold on to that piece, it can make other pieces for you in the form of dividends. So dividends are paid out based on how many shares you own, and that's called DPS. And dividends per share, I don't know why I had to think about that, but dividends per share, and that's what you end up getting when you get dividends. Your dividend yield refers to the percentage of the current market price. So say if they tell you that the dividend yield is 0.69. So based on that, you will get 69, am I doing that right? 69 cents on every share that you own. So if you only own one share, you're going to get 69 cents, if that makes sense. So when you look at those different things, just pay attention to that. And then the other thing you need to know is that usually when dividends are paid out, they're through more established companies because they passed their growth factor. They're not growing anymore, so they're paying, and this is the way that they build wealth for their investors. Because if their stuff is stalled, then you know what, you have to give them something. So usually you'll find with startups, like new companies, IPOs, and all of those different things, you will not get dividends, but you are looking for growth. And a lot of mostly tech companies and biotech companies, those types, usually they don't pay dividends as well. Hold on, one too far. All right, and I just want you guys to know this. Companies can be stingy and keep all their profits, which is called retained earnings. So when they're not paying out dividends and they are making a profit, they are retaining their earnings. So just know that. And they can also use their profits to buy back any shares that they want to. Like if shares are just hanging out there all willy-nilly and nobody has them, they're going to buy them back because they want to have a bigger profit share of their own company. All right, so typical industry dividends, and I'm gonna show you guys in a minute. I'm gonna go to Yahoo Finance, one of my favorite pages. But typically, industry dividends, they are real estate, multi-line utilities, major drugs, conglomerate, software. So their average, and that's all I pulled was their average of what you can expect to get on dividends is 3%. For utilities, you're looking at 3.1. Major drugs, 1.6, conglomerates, 1.6, and software, 2.0. And just so you guys know, I'm actually going to put these slides. Can I put them in the church's page? Yeah. Okay. All right, because I can download them and save them as PDF, and they can get them from there if they want them, right? Sure. Okay. So what I wanted to show you is, crappity crap. I thought I had my Yahoo open already. So you can see what you got. What's your question?
Okay, so the dividend percentage, I noticed that some companies, you might eventually answer this, but I was just wondering, pay like monthly or quarterly or yearly. Does that percentage
change?
Correlate with that? Like if it's 1.6 and they pay out quarterly, is it 1.6 quarterly or
No.
is it yearly?
That is yearly, and that was in another slide, but yes,
Oh, okay.
It is, and I'll show you what that looks like when we get over there. I just want to pick a stock, so I'm just going to pick SDIV is one that I own. Come on. And so if you see down here, they have a yield of 6.65, right? So they're paying out dividends of 6.65 for every share of stock you own. Because when I was first learning about this, I thought it was based on how much money you were paying for the stock, but it's actually based on how many shares you have. So if you have one share, you're going to get 6.65 of whatever that market price is that day. And I'm gonna give you guys some dates to look at when we get back over there. And I don't think this one has any. No, there's no dates here. But I'm gonna show you how you can know when you're about to get dividends, because that when they put them out, sometimes if you buy them by a certain date, like you can buy, say, 5 shares at the beginning of the year and 5 shares maybe 5 or 6 days before they pay dividends. Yes. And so you will still get the same amount of dividends as the person that was holding it on over here, but hopefully you had some growth during that time. And that's the thing. But like I said, I wanted you guys to see, when it talks about a yield, this is a high yield, and this is a ETF. And this is the ETF. And so what it is, it holds different types of companies that actually pay dividends. I like this one because it pays monthly. And that's the thing, it's funky because even though it's still 6.65%, it doesn't change. I'd rather have mine monthly in this instead of spread out quarterly. So let's go back over here. So this is a not so fun financial fact. In the last 10 years, did y'all know that? The last 10 years, if you missed out on investing, Okay, I'm guessing that's hell. If you missed out on investing, you missed out on 260% growth. And so it's like this is why I tell you to start don't look at this. I'm just showing you this because I want you to see what's possible, not what you missed out on. That's not why I'm showing you this. I want to show you what's possible if you actually invest. So you have to look at it from a standpoint of wherever you are now, you still have time to do something. So if you're trying to, then this is why I like dividends. If you're looking for growth stocks and you don't have the time to ride the wave of stocks that are going up and down and all of these different things, then it might not be your thing. Especially if you're at the retirement age and you're just trying to create some extra income. So if you have, say, about $5,000 to put in this particular fund, this is going to pay you monthly. Let me see. It's going to pay you monthly, and y'all, I'm ignoring a call from my husband for you guys. So say if you invest $5,000, which will buy you, I think theirs is 20, what was the share price? Okay, so $14 a share. Let's do this. Yeah, where's my calculator? I should have done it on here, but I wanted you guys to still see this while I have it up. Okay, so if we have $5,000 and let's see, this is currently $14 a share, $14.23 a share. So that means you can buy 351 shares. All right? So if you buy that 351 shares, and this is where I should have done the math, and so, but anyway, if you buy 351 shares at this current price, you're going to get, 351, it's a whole lot of crazy numbers. It's easier to do it when I'm not trying to do it in my head. Let's see, 351 shares at 14.23. Okay, so you have the 14.23, if I can put a decimal point in there, times the 6.65? I'm glad you guys are home and safe because it is raining, and I think we're hearing a bit of hail out there. Times 6.65. Yeah, my math mind is not working. Okay, so now you're looking at 20 about 22 cents a share. And so we said you bought 351 shares times the 351. So you're making about 75 bucks. And that's still better than the banks will pay you, because if you're looking at that half a percentage point of your money sitting there, you have to see that not only are you getting these dividends, and like I say, if you do like I do, most of my dividends are reinvested. And what that means is that when they're reinvested, say I got my $75, it's going to turn around and buy back even more shares than I already have. So it'll reinvest back into that same stock, ETF, mutual fund, whatever it is. And so you have to look at it from that standpoint of your money is actually making money. It is not sitting in the savings account. If you have your emergency fund, that's all great and fine. If you don't have your emergency fund and now you're deciding to get one, trust me, split it between this and a savings account. Because if you know that you rarely have any emergencies, split the money. Don't stick it all over here and say, okay, I've set all of this up. Separate it into whatever you feel comfortable with so that you get the money that you need. But if you have $100 extra that you could be putting towards savings for an emergency or whatever may come up, do 50 and 50. Because this is going to sit here stagnant on that 1%. Because I think, I'm going to tell a little bit of my financial business. I think in one of our savings accounts, we have about 10 grand. Do you know, I think we get less than 20 cents a month on that? 20 cents a month. Now, I keep it because, like I say, you never know when an emergency is going to come up, so it has to be there. But the other part is that if it was invested, it would be making me way more money. But I don't want to have to go through the hassle of when you have your money in the stock market. No, it's not that hard to get out. It is a whole lot easier than when you have it in a 401k. But you don't want to go through the hassle of having to sell off stocks and all of these different things and then having the money transferred into your account. By that time, it's like, it takes 2 or 3 days. No, just go ahead and have you some savings over here, but invest as much as you can. And my thing, when you're talking, y'all know I do this for the kids. I like y'all too, but I'm doing this for the kids. If you're doing it on that level, you can even start with something as $5, because there are a lot of companies out there that will let you start with $5 and just do $5 a week. I think, like I told you guys before, we started with $25 a week each. Morgan, my daughter, she still gets $35 a week. But it's just start somewhere. Don't sit there and say it's too late, because it is not. I promise you it's not. Let me get back over here, because I think me and AJ jumped ahead of what I was going to talk about. Okay, so when you're talking about dividends, if you want to know when your dividends are going to get paid, some of the sites won't even tell you, because this one, let me see. This one, does it have a date? No, see, it won't even show you the date. But there are 3 different dates you need to look at. You have to probably look at another financial whatever, but other ones might tell you. But you have to look at the declaration date. The declaration date is the time that the board tells you that they're going to issue dividends, because they can say no. And even if you're used to like 5 years of steady dividends, they might get a bug up their tail one month and say, you know what, we're not paying out any dividends. And could be because their profits are low, or they are going through something, or restructuring, or whatever it may be. But they have the ability to say, no, we're not paying anymore, even though they've been paying like you could have had this 10, 5, whatever years. But if they decide that, just know it's okay. You can always go invest in something else. But that's the date that the board says they're going to give you your share. The date of record, that's the day you're entitled to your money. So when we're talking about, like I said, when we were talking earlier about you having stocks over here, you bought these on January 1, but you bought these on March 1, and the X date, the date of record, is say 3/15. Both of those will end up getting the dividend payout on March 15th. Because that's just the way it is. I used to think it was jacked up, because somehow I would always miss the date when I knew, because I was trying to time it. When I was seeing that things were going to be paid out as a dividend, I would try and catch it and just invest during that time so I can get the dividend. Yeah, don't be sideways crazy like me. But just knowing that that dividend is going to pay you whether you invested 2 months ago, 3 months ago, as long as you're like about 4 or 5 days out. And only the owners with shares at that time are going to get the dividend. If you miss it by 1 day, so if you miss that whatever time zone you're in and the stock market is closed, baby, you just SOL. The payment date, that's the date you'll actually get your payment. So when, like I said, when you get dividends, if you're not reinvesting, which is called a DRIP, if you're not letting that money reinvest, do you know what DRIP stands for? I can't think about it. Yeah, dividend reinvestment. See, AJ is my one. Dividend reinvestment program. That's what a DRIP is. When you hear that term, all it's saying is that, you know what, this stock pays dividend, and we're going to put it right back into the stock that it came out of. So if it pays you 39 cents or whatever, or $1.02, it's going to take that $1.02 and buy more shares of that same stock. If you like my husband likes to go ahead and get his in cash and put it back into whatever he wants to, or buy whatever he wants to. So you have that option depending on who you're with when you, as your investment vehicle. So if you have a Fidelity, like I just found out mine is not being reinvested, and I was kind of salty about that, but that was my fault. I thought Fidelity would do it, but they didn't. But on my stash account, it's done automatically. So like I said, I keep buying keep buying shares of the same things that I already own. And I almost bought something new tonight. I'm like, no, don't do it. And I'll tell you guys why in a little while. Okay, so we were talking about dividend yield. So when you look at it as percentage, it seems kind of strange. It's like, okay, we saw that 6.65%. So let's just look at it from a dollar amount perspective. So if your dividend yield is $1, whether it's paid monthly, quarterly, and some actually pay annually, I don't want to wait that long, but it is still the same dollar. It all adds up to the same dollar. So if it's $1 paid monthly, you're going to get 8 cents, 0.083 cents. If it's paying quarterly, you're going to get a quarter every quarter. And if it's paying $1, you're going to get that dollar. It all adds up. So even though I like mine to pay monthly, I will still get the same amount if it paid me quarterly, if that makes sense.
So with that $75 example, it would be 75 divided by 12 for the monthly.
Yes. So you guys didn't hear AJ. He said, so that means the $75 that I was talking about earlier will be spread out over 12 months, and that's a yes. So whatever, 75 divided by 12. Or like I said, it could be quarterly. So you just have to pick and choose how you're going to invest. Why am I doing it? But why you're going to invest in certain stocks. So when you look at stocks and you're depending on them to pay you something, you might want to look at their growth and what they're paying out. If their growth is such that, you know what, it's pretty good versus their dividend is only so-so, then it might balance out for you. And you might, like the one I just showed you, SDIV, $14 a share. That is very affordable for a lot of people. So you can, thank you, yes. You can buy like 3 shares for 40, how much is that, 816, $46, and you have 3 shares. And so now you're getting 6.65% on 3 shares. And this is something great, especially like if you have kids that want to be able to invest their own money. You give them $20, they now own a full share and a piece of SDIV, and it's something that's giving them money. And if you have something that's growing, like I said, most growth stocks are not going to pay you dividends. So you just have to make sure that you look at it from that perspective. And we'll get deeper into all of that, but like I said, I wanted to back up here. But when I was on my ride here, I thought, should have backed up a little further. All right. So 3 money habits I want you guys to get. I want you to plan and I want you to budget. Because because the next one is actually, it's the last one. But when you budget, you actually find money that you didn't know you had. Because I promise you, I was one of those living paycheck to paycheck. And with COVID and me not working as much as I was before, I'm working. I don't make as much as I used to, but I'm still okay, and I still have money to invest. Whereas before, when I had more money, I thought I was broke as two left shoes. My money was not working right. So when you start making money habits, actually just track one thing. If you can't track your whole budget yet, just track one thing. You'll start turning off lights because you're trying to drive your bills down, your electric bill down. Turn off the air or control it a little better to find a couple of dollars there. No one is saying you have to find a big amount, but I'm just saying find some money somewhere and live within your means. Unfortunately, that means we got to give up the credit cards a little bit. I ain't gonna say go turkey. But if you're going to use credit cards, my suggestion is that you use ones that give you points, give you miles, give you cash back, something. Just to make sure that, you know what, pay it off at the end of the month. If you can't pay it off at the end of the month, then that's a good indication, you know what, you shouldn't be buying it anyway. So stay out of debt as much as possible. I know we want a whole lot of stuff, and it's like, oh, but it's on sale. Walk away. Just walk away. All right, and I wanted to show you guys this, retirement versus age. And this is why I keep saying, if you feel like you're too old, if you're past your prime of investing, let me not call you old because I'm 56 and I don't think I'm old. But if you feel like you're past your prime of investing, think of it from your kids' point of view. And the thing about it is if you're going to do it for your kids, make them part of the conversation. And I'm going to go on here and I'm going to look at an article and kind of walk through how I would explain it to my daughter. My daughter's 13 now, but still, some of the things that we used to talk about and how I used to talk to her about how our money is. But AJ, you have kids? You have 3 boys, right? No?
I have 2 kids in Missouri that are 15 and 18.
Oh, because I used to see the little boys when Oh, okay. All right. Then never mind for the little kids. But do this for your children and learn and teach them as you go. And then even if you don't understand, trust me, kids nowadays are smart as I don't know what. They can probably say, oh, Mom, I understand what that means, and explain it to you. So give them the opportunity to be part of the money conversation. Get them used to having this conversation. Oh, yeah, I'm invested in this and I'm invested in that. And it becomes habit. And I don't care if they don't have but $5 invested. That $5 is going to do something for them down the line. So take that into account. Like I said, I put retirement savings versus age because if you want your kids to retire early, then you have to start investing early. Somebody at the door?
No.
Okay.
The screen blacked out for a second.
Oh, okay. That was probably me. Ooh, thunder. All right. The reason you want to start investing, and I know there are other ethnicities besides black folks, but because I'm a black woman, I look at it, a lot of things from the black perspective. And a big thing that I noticed or that I was reading about is how even though more people are investing, a lot of black people are not investing in the stock market. And so, that means, you know what, there are other people that are in that financial bind that are not investing in the stock market. So even if they base it off of black people, I'm gonna say y'all basing it off of broke people because y'all think we broke. So when you look at it from that perspective, you have to find a way to do this, and you have to find a way to be comfortable with it, because part of why they said that people aren't investing is because they're not comfortable. They're fearful of this. They don't understand it. And so they would rather go out and put money in a savings account, or even buying houses. They buy a house because they think it's safe. They buy life insurance because they think it's safe. And so they do all of these things, and they miss out on the growth potential of building wealth. Because stocks are what's going to build your wealth. I'm sorry. But yeah, stocks are what's going to build your wealth. So you have to find a way to start making this a priority for you. And like I said, I'm not telling you to go into debt to do this. I'm not telling you to take your rent money and do this. I'm saying find $5. What did you buy this week that you did not need, that you can now turn into an investment? I don't invest in Starbucks anymore, and y'all know my sideways story with that. But if you have $5, instead of buying spending $5 at Starbucks, how about buy $5 worth of Starbucks stock? They pay dividends. Instead of buying a new pair of Nikes, how about invest in Nikes? They pay a dividend. I ain't gonna tell you not to buy a new computer because I'm kind of a gadget fiend, but Microsoft pays dividends. There are all these things that, McDonald's, yes, please, give up McDeath. No. But McDonald's, instead of going to McDonald's for lunch, take that money you would have spent in the store and invest it in the company and own a piece of it. Own a piece of that burger you just ate. How about that? Does McDonald's pay dividends? Okay, see, I don't invest in McDonald's because I don't eat McDonald's. But I want you guys to do this because you can't stop living paycheck to paycheck. Always save the max that you can. It is up to you to find it. It's up to you to decide, what am I going to give up for the long term? And like I say, being of an advanced age and being mature in my years, you look at it from if you look at it from a standpoint, you know what, I'm gonna spend my money now and then you're not thinking about the legacy. Because I hear so many people talk about leaving a legacy, leaving something for my kids. This is something you can leave for them. If you leave them an insurance policy, excuse me. If you leave them an insurance policy, you're leaving them money that didn't do anything. That same money you would have put towards a life insurance policy, you can now put towards stock. Excuse me, I am so sorry. But if you put it towards stock, and it's the same thing that we're talking about with your savings. If you decrease your payout of the life insurance policy by a little bit just because you pulled $5 from there and put it over here in the investment, this is something that's going to continue to grow. This is not growing at all. Your life insurance policy, there's nothing increasing that. So it's just going to be what it's going to be. If all you have is a $10,000 policy, how can you get this over here to get to $10,000? What would you have to invest to do that? If you're paying for your policy $20, $30, $40 a month, okay, what would happen if you took $15 of that and put it over here into something that even after you're gone can continue to grow for your grandchildren or your children? So that's why I'm not saying don't buy insurance. I'm not even saying don't save, but I'm saying start being strategic with your finances and start understanding what this means for the wealth of your family. The reason why this gap is getting so much bigger is because people are investing and people are not. You save money to buy a house. How about you invest to buy a house? Because if you invest, this money is going to grow a whole lot quicker. And then you take out part of that and you still have some money left over here that's still working for you. The way I used to explain to my daughter, my money is having babies. It's still making money for you over here. And that's what you need to understand. So it's just being strategic. It's not robbing Peter to pay Paul. That's not what I'm trying to tell you to do. But I'm just telling you to be strategic. If you have other things that your money is going into that you want to leave, what can you pull out and invest? If you go from a $50,000 policy to a $40,000 policy, and you take $10, this is going to multiply. If you put it over here and then you invest it wisely, because you can't go out there and invest in all willy-nilly, but if you invest wisely, the growth potential for this and the legacy that it leaves for your children and your grandchildren is going to be amazing. Versus, you know what, when I pass away, I got 40 grand. I'm gonna split it between these kids, and once it's gone, it's gone. Because you never had the money conversation with them. You've never invested or talk about investments with them. And I don't care if you're talking about real estate investment, financial investment, or stock market investment, annuities, whatever it is. I'm really crazy about annuities. But whatever you do, having the conversation, start talking about money and making it a part of their education. It's not something that they're getting in school. It's something that we're missing out on. There are grown people that don't even know how to write a check. Granted, I'm all for having my ATM card. I don't carry cash and all of that kind of stuff. But every once in a while, I got to write a check once a month because that's how I have to pay my rent. And being able to know if you're living in your means. My daughter is part of our budget meeting that we have on Mondays. Having her know, like, this is what we're doing with the money. This is where it went. And she'll even say, dang, Daddy, you bought a whole lot of groceries this month. Because she's part of the conversation. And when she asks for something, and she knows we've already had this meeting, and it's like, okay, she comes and she says, can I have so-and-so? And depending on what the money looks like that month, because everything has already been allocated, maybe you can, maybe you can't. And that's you taking control of your money. And I promise you, I'm talking from experience because it was not easy. It was just a hard decision. You know, I'm doing it this way. And I started with the $5. Then I upped it to $10. Then I upped it to $20. Because once you start seeing how your money is growing for you, it's like, okay, well, maybe I don't need this nearly as much. I can't take money from the grocery bill because my husband would have a fit. But what can I take money from? Now that I know what my money is doing, and I told you guys before, if whoever was listening before, I use Mint to track my money. And so everything is allocated. When you know where your money is going, you can find where you want to put it. It's like if you decide that you want that vacation, did you plan for it, or did you just up and say, I'm going to use whatever money I got left and go? It makes a difference in how you show up for yourself financially. So even if you want to do that, and you know that, okay, I'm taking a big trip next year, let your money work for a year. And then I have a friend, her philosophy for investing, what she does is she invests $100. Once her investment has made her $100, she pulls out her initial investment, and now she's just playing with the house's money, if you know what that means, if you ever gambled before. It's no longer her money in there, it's the money that her money made. So if you invest in something that gets you to that point, now you can take your money out and now place it in something else, invest it in something else. This is planting seeds and making your money work. We keep praying, like I used to, I'm not going to say I used to, but when I hear the prayer, when people are praying over the offering in their finances, increase it 100-fold. How's it going to increase if you're not putting it to work? If all you're doing is working for your money and your money is never working for you, then it's not going to increase 100-fold. It's certainly not going to do that in the bank. Banks aren't going to pay you that way. AJ, is that you clicking up there? Yeah. Oh, okay. So like I said, maximize your savings. That's a long way around that. Diversify your investment portfolio. Like I said, ETFs are a great thing to use because if any type of mutual fund, let me just put it that way, any type of fund that allows you to buy in different companies at one time, a great thing. As long as you do your research. You have to research the companies that you're investing in. And we're going to look at that a little bit because I know AJ was glad I started this back up because he wants to learn about, was it earnings per share, AJ? Okay, so I'm gonna go and I'll have slides for that. We come back in 2 weeks. I'll make sure I have slides for that. So you can start learning how to research these companies and how to get a small view of what the financials look like, of what you're looking for when you invest. The people that do investing for you, financial planners or whatever it is, sweetie, all they're doing is taking an educated guess. And you can make your own educated guess by who you want to be aligned with your money. Because you may not necessarily, you might be like me, all salty and shady at Starbucks, which I don't invest in anymore. But if you have that mindset of, you know what, this is where I want my money to go, and this is how it's gonna go, then it makes a difference. What is it? Investment in knowledge pays the best interest. So you have to get the knowledge. You have to get the understanding.